Hey, well, welcome everybody to another episode of Views from the Bridge. My name is Justin, and I'm here tonight with a new thing that we're trying. This is our new preview show, and so every game, or at least every couple of games, we're going to try to have somebody on who follows the other team and is able to give us some context to what they're feeling, thinking about their season, and then hopefully provide us a little more context to the Union game and make it a little more interesting to watch. And so tonight or today, I have Kris from Battered Herons. Battered Herons is a podcast that follows Inter Miami. Kris, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Justin. Much appreciated. You're doing a great job, man.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the podcast at least where we can find you and a little bit about what you guys do.
You guys can be able to find us on Twitter at Battered Herons. You can also be able to find me where you see right here below at K Battered Herons. We basically do a podcast just covering Inter Miami for the past couple years, a little bit before Messi, maybe like a year and change before he came on board. And you can also check us out at batteredfans.com as well.
Cool. Well, let's start there. You mentioned Messi, and obviously that has totally changed what has happened with Inter Miami over the past couple of years. Were you a Messi fan before Messi came, or was that like a new thing for you personally? But then how has that impacted you watching Miami? Or obviously for Union fans, we haven't had like that level of superstar kind of come into our team. And so what has that been like as a Miami fan?
Well, it's funny because, before Messi came on board, a lot of the fan base was very really, really proud. I mean, we have a really proud set of fans and supporters for Inter Miami. Obviously, when Messi came on board, it becomes its own circus, right? Messi is one of the greatest, if not arguably the greatest player to play football. So with that is going to come a huge fan base just based on the player. And it sort of changed from it being a very close-knit sort of, a fan base to where it expanded, where people are following more of the player instead of the badge. And I think little by little, though, for the past year and change, I think a lot of the fans that are just Messi fans have grown to sort of embrace the club itself. And same goes for a lot of the original fan base, that they've sort of gone to embrace this whole Messi thing, because it's sort of a shock to the current fans as well, to have such a great player play for your team and represent you guys in the ML and represent us in the MLS.
Yeah, it is a wild thing. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not a Miami fan, but
Yeah.
I'm a Brighton fan, and so, other than being a Union fan, and so we went to some of the Brighton games in the U.S. here last year, and it was crazy just to see all the people selling Messi gear outside of those games where Messi wasn't even involved. And then, going to the beach here in New Jersey, and just all the beachside shops have, Inter Miami gear, Messi gear, there. And so it is kind of crazy how that has, and it happened when he played for Barcelona. It happened when he played for PSG. But, to have that level of kind of notoriety or visibility must put a lot of pressure on the team and has to affect your fandom somewhat. But it is cool to hear that people have kind of turned and like, okay, let's follow him, but let's follow the team and the club that he plays for as well. That's a cool thing to hear.
Well, and it goes as crazy as to, there were games back to back where my co-host and I would see opposing fans with their kits on that had Messi 10 on the back of their kit.
Yep.
We literally posted on our Twitter a Houston Dynamo, a group of friends that had all Messi 10 on the back of their Houston Dynamo kit. And look, I mean, let's call a spade here. At the end of the day, MLS as a whole is going to benefit off of this greatly, if it hasn't already. So, we're going to get to a point where teams, which I believe like around the coast, you got your LAs, you got your Seattles, you got you guys in the Northeast with New York NYCFC and the New York Red Bulls, at some point we're going to see a lot of those teams start to get players that you guys have probably never imagined. Well, I mean, Philly is a very sort of uproot team, grow from the ground up. So maybe it's a little different with you guys, but for other teams, I do see that happening as well. So
yeah, and we already see it with some of the center signings and Marco Royce coming in, and then Olivier Giroud, coming in this summer at some point, and so I think guys are seeing like, hey, this is a viable league to play in, and this is a good league, and that combined with the players that combined with the players that the USL or the MLS, USL are now sending abroad, has been great for American soccer. And so it's kind of a both and. You get these guys coming in at the end of their career, and then you get the guys that, where the union exists of, hey, let's send guys off to other places. And we've sent 4 or 5 players abroad in the last 2 years. So it's just, it's all good and
trending in the right direction.
All publicity is good.
Yes, trending in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about the team a little bit this season and kind of what's happening. What do you obviously there's a lot to like. You guys are doing well, having a great season so far, sitting near the top of the standings and all of that. So what do you like about the team this year, and what have you liked about kind of the way they're playing?
So the easy answer is Messi, right? And then the longer answer would be, I mean, look, we are sitting at the top at this very moment. We're number 1 in the East, and number 1 in the league at this moment. We've only had 3 losses. We sit up top with 35 points, which is something that, we ended the year last year with around the same amount of points, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look back at last year's standings, but we're halfway through the season and we have 35 points already. So to me, we're doing very well. And the good thing is that we do have a lot of obviously big name players, but one of the bigger things that's happening is that we've had other players that have kind of been stepping up as well, and people that fans don't really recognize. Like right now, for those of you that are viewing, I have a Robert Taylor shirt on. Robert Taylor is a guy from Finland that's been stepping up big time. We have Diego Gomez, who's injured at the moment. He's been stepping up big time as well. Amongst other players as well, we've had a lot of people stepping up in big spots. So it's not just about the big 4.
Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting is I feel like the union probably, obviously we haven't played against Suarez yet, because we haven't played yet this year, but last year, didn't see Messi in either game against, Miami. I don't think we actually saw Busquets in either game either. I think we saw Jordi Alba in both games, but we haven't played that kind of full piece of Miami yet. But I think like it is interesting to see kind of how. And you expect this when you have guys like Alba, Busquets, Messi, Suarez. You have guys like that around a group of players, and especially a group of players who probably, because of the way MLS funding and money works, you have a lot of players who may not be, are not at that level. But those 4 guys can make the guys around them better, and
Absolutely.
They can instill their wisdom, instill their experience on a group of players like that who are still moldable and bendable and are still trying to learn. And so do you feel like the younger players or the guys who are obviously not at that level yet have learned a ton? Do you feel like the big 4 just make them better on the field, or do you feel like individually they've gotten better because of those guys being there, or just their growth? What do you contribute some of that to?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I can wholeheartedly contribute it to their presence. Just alone, I can mention 2 names, David Ruiz and Ben Hakremaki. Those 2 guys are homegrown players who have legitimately come on this team and started off as young kids and are literally playing better than anybody had expected and to be able to, for example, David Ruiz and Benjamin Kremaki to learn from players like Messi and from Suarez and Busquets, I mean, it's working wonders for them. You know,
Hmm.
David Ruiz is going to go represent Honduras. Ben Kremaki is going to be representing the USMNT at some point. You have Noah Allen, who played left back for us before Alba came on board. Alba, you could see that he's trying to sort of, guide him in certain ways. He hasn't played much recently, but yeah, I mean, we have homegrown players that have, unfortunately, when they stepped in before Messi came in, they stepped in for need, and now they've stepped in with a purpose. So yeah, wholeheartedly, their presence alone has worked wonders for the homegrown players for us.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned that the Miami has 3 losses on the season, which obviously is not a lot. But
Yeah.
what in those games, or I guess kind of even just in the games that you won, where things have not gone well, where do you see this team being vulnerable, and kind of where are the weak spots, or where could a team take advantage of them?
Well, I mean, the first place that I go to when I look at a weakness that Inter Miami has is gonna be the back line. Our defense is awful. And I'll tell you that one of the biggest losses that we've taken is Kamal Miller. Kamal Miller no longer playing with us, and now he plays for the Portland Timbers. That is a huge loss at center back. We've been able to fill that presence with Toto Aviles, and we have a player Freire that he just got injured. So Aviles is filled in pretty well, but Christoph is too slow. And then we also got rid of Yedlin, and we filled him with Weigand on the right back position. He's actually playing pretty decent. Now, the left back role with Jordi Alba, you think automatically, well, Jordi Alba's really good. But he's more of like an offensive presence as well. He moves up so far from the field, so far up the field, that any moment a team has an opportunity to counterattack, you have 2 statues in center backs, Toto Aviles and Kristoff, playing back there. And for them to recover against speedy wingers or a speedy striker that muscles themselves into position, then it's a recipe for disaster. So our back 4 has probably been the most disastrous perspective of our losses.
Yeah, the Union have 2 of those in Carranza and Ure, but we also
Yes.
have a pretty terrible team this year, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have
And
any
we're
faith that
familiar
they're
with
actually going to be able
Carranza
to
as
get it done.
well.
Yeah. So I don't know that I have that much faith in this team this weekend, because they can't seem to win against anybody right now. But we'll see what we'll see what happens.
Well, they play up to their
This weekend.
competition, so I think that the game against Inter Miami is going to be a hell of a game for sure.
Yeah. And you guys had we both kind of had crazy games this weekend. I mean, you guys had that 3-3. Was it 3-3 against
the 3-3 tie? Yep,
was it
against St. Louis.
Was that Charlotte? That was St. Louis. That's
no,
right.
It was against St. Louis.
Yep. And then we had a 2-2. We had a 2-2 kind of crazy game as well. And so I think it is going to be interesting to see what happens in this game going forward, because it seems like neither of us can defend, but we both can score too. So it'll be interesting going forward. So yeah, what do you expect to happen this weekend, or how do you expect Miami to play this weekend? And with lots of games coming up this summer, with lots of different tournaments and different things, but how do you expect them to play this weekend?
Well, luckily for us, our next game isn't until we play Philadelphia, which is on the 15th. So we have a bye week this week. So it gives our players a little bit of time to be able to rest and recover, and we definitely need it because we have a couple players that are out on injury right now. So luckily for us, we actually get a little bit of time off. We will be playing for another 12 days.
Yeah, good stuff. You have a score prediction for the game against Philly?
Well, and I want to preface something by saying that I hope you guys score a goal, because I love the song, and my son, hopefully he watches this, because he always gives me this stone face when I celebrate your goals, because I love the doop 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 song after you guys score goals. I'm hoping with all my heart and soul that I can make it out to Philly to be able to watch this game. But I don't want you guys to score that many goals. So I'll say that. I do believe that the game is going to be great, and I think that we're going to have our best pieces playing against you guys, especially with so much time and rest. I think that it's gonna be balls to the wall. I think it's gonna be like 4-2 Inter Miami walk away with a win.
All right.
It's a little ballsy, but
yeah. That's big. Hopefully, I mean, yeah, you guys get us without Andre Blake, so four is certainly possible.
Yes, absolutely.
But it'll be you mentioned Maria, I Like It Loud, the Doop Doop song. It's funny because I use that as my goal song in FIFA as well, and so it's like every time I score a goal there, I hear it, and then obviously we love it as Union fans. So I'm glad to hear that other fan bases love it too.
I love it.
But it's a good one. I'm glad we got that one versus other ones.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Sure. Cool. Well, thanks so much for jumping on our show and just kind of giving us some context for this game against Miami. It'll be fun to see what happens in the game, but thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
No, much appreciated, Justin, and I thank you for having me on. And it's going to be a hell of a game, I'll tell you that much. Whatever the score is going to be, I know it's going to be entertaining. Philadelphia is one of the teams that I like to watch on the East Side, and especially since you guys got Damian Lowe. Damian Lowe is a hell of a center back. A lot of our truest fans miss him dearly. So it's going to be a good game. I look forward to watching it. Hopefully, I can watch it in person.
Cool. Well, go check out Battered Herons. They do some good stuff. They got four nights a week. You guys do live shows on YouTube, Absolutely. So go check them out. Don't be too antagonistic in the chat though, and go see what they're doing. But thanks for joining another episode of Views from the Bridge. This is our preview show for against Miami, and we'll see what happens in the game this weekend.